Welcome back, everybody, to Establishment Comics are just the worst things ever. DC and Marvel hate you, and my head hurts. It's Crow here, and today we got this article by Bounding Into Comics, and actually, while I was looking at this one, I saw another article for Overwatch I thought would be just fascinating to cover. But the reason why I wanted to go into this was yesterday I did a reaction to the Gotham High trailer, and I made some predictions in that trailer. And well, there was this interview with the writer and the artist for this comic book, and I feel like a lot of the things that I stated are 100% factually true and accurate now. Anyways, here's the big headline. DC Comics circles the drain, reveals gay Alfred and Chinese-American Bruce Wayne, and more franchise-killing abominations. Now, look, I've been very clear. Alternate universe stories, they are what they are. They can be totally different. It's just, I said earlier that I felt like they were basically just using the names of the characters and then just doing their own thing. Kind of like what CW did with Archie Comics, except this is from DC Comics, and it's kind of really weird. And you're going to see as we're reading through this article, that is essentially what's going on. They basically got this writer who doesn't understand the Batman canon, the character, anything about him, but has basically said, well, my husband's a fan, so yada, yada, yada. I just wanted to do it. The illustrator says he's a huge fan of the character for Batman the Animated Series. I don't want to drag the dude too much because, again, he seems like he's just super excited to get to work on any type of Batman property, and he just got shafted with this one. So, but his art looks okay. DC Comics rolled out the red carpet with a big snazzy Entertainment Weekly interview for their latest creative team that effectively butchers Batman canon. Well, yeah, it does. Melissa De La Cruz and illustrator Thomas Pitilli spoke with the magazine about their upcoming graphic novel, Gotham High, that EW describes as Batman meets Gossip Girl, so already just avoid this thing like the hot plague. The interview began with De La Cruz admitting she has no clue about Batman. Okay, so before we get into it, why do they keep getting writers onto these properties that don't even know the characters that they're writing? Like, I understand you might want a different take on the character, but you have so many people in the industry that love Batman. Why wouldn't you get somebody with talent writing comic books that understands the character to give a different take on that character? Wouldn't that be better? Why would you bring somebody in who doesn't actually know or care about what they're writing? I don't get that at all. She states, my husband is a big Batman fan, so when DC called and said, we want to do a YA, young adult line, what character do you want to do? I wanted to do Batman. It's such a fun, iconic character that I could put my own spin on. But why if you don't even know the character? Matilli did express his knowledge of the character, admitting he grew up watching Batman the Animated Series, which is the best way to grow up. Let's be honest, Batman the Animated Series is amazing. I grew up on Batman the Animated Series. Oh, you're so cool. Part 2 back in the 90s, so ever since then I was hooked. As far as superheroes growing up, he was always my number one. I was more a Spidey guy. So for me to get to work on any incarnation of Batman, it's a dream come true. And see, that's what I mean, right? Like, you have plenty of people who are passionate about these. Why wouldn't you want to get someone to write the story that's also passionate about the characters, that also is passionate about YA books? Like, there are tons. There are literally tons. Why would I? Whatever. Radically altered Batman and his mythos. After admitting she had no clue about Batman, De La Cruz then details her lack of knowledge doesn't matter because she's radically altering the character anyways. Isn't that fun? She explains Bruce Wayne is the billionaire. He's the richest man alive. So I thought, would it be fun if his family was Chinese and from Hong Kong? Why? That made it feel real. Why? What? Why not? Man, Daily Cruz then details she's basically telling an autobiography of her own life using DC Comics characters. I said it was her weirdo fantasy, but there's been a big influx of wealthy Chinese people who moved from Hong Kong to Arcadia in Los Angeles, and that's where my mom lives. I'm part Chinese. My brother lives in Hong Kong, so I thought it would be great to put what I know into Bruce Wayne. I just wanted him to be a little bit more representative of my background and giving him an authentic family. Like, there's nothing authentic about Bruce Wayne's family in the sense, like, it's not a relatable story. I'm not trying to be a dick. Like, yeah, people have lost loved ones before, but it's really not relatable to be a filthy rich billionaire who gets secret training from the League of Shadows, you know? Or the League of Assassins or whatever. It's just a deeply emotional story that your parents get killed right in front of you, and your whole view of the world just breaks down, and you grow up to be a very socially challenged individual. By that I mean, like, there are certain writers who have really delved deep into Batman and Bruce Wayne's mental state, and it gets really interesting. This is just like, man, I can't. I just don't get it. I don't get why you bring in somebody who doesn't know anything about the character or the mythos to even write an Elseworld story. It doesn't make any sense to me, and that's kind of why I think people are trashing this book so hard. It's because there's no real understanding. It's basically, like I said, it's what CW did with Archie Comics, except this is the comics brand, so I don't know who this is made for. I just don't know who this is made for. As far as how Bruce becomes a billionaire, a preview of the graphic novel indicates the money comes from his mother and his mother alone. This thing is kind of like messed up. Before Masha Dean became Martha Wayne, like, because they sound similar? Like, she was the most beautiful girl in Hong Kong and from the richest family. You know it was her money that started Wayne Enterprises. According to sources, everything fell apart the night that he went to see Madame Butterfly. What started as a perfect evening soon became a night of terror. When they got home, the thieves were everywhere. I don't mind that they changed something like Batman's family wasn't murdered in Crime Alley, but instead they were murdered by people that broke into Wayne Manor. The Crime Alley thing's pretty big on the mythos, but the parents still get murdered, right? The thing that gets to me is, like, Wayne Enterprise and every single incarnation of it, it's part of the Wayne family going back years and decades. There's a reason why. Like, it gives you a lot more storytelling potential. In this reality, someone who isn't part of the Wayne family, who marries into the Wayne family, she's the one who gives the money over to the Waynes. Like, I saw someone on Twitter actually state, this seems like a plotline from Crazy Rich Asians, and then I saw this in the article. I just started laughing. She then admits that Alfred will be gay. She states Alfred is not just his butler, but also his uncle, his gay uncle from Hong Kong. It gives this fabulous Crazy Rich Asians sheen to it. I mean, hey man, Crazy Rich Asians was not a bad movie, but like, it's not Batman. I don't get this. If it wasn't clear this entire book was about pandering, Patilli details that breathes new life into the character, especially in today's world, since we're living in the most diverse world we probably ever lived in, so it's more representative of Batman in 2020. No, like, I don't get race swapping characters. And the thing is, like, the way they do it here, and we'll go back and read this article, but you okay? Why'd you want to fight like that? Tell Master Shang I sent you. Like, what? Like, so what, he's Chinese, so he's got an Asian Kung Fu master? Like, come on. He adds, and since he's a teenager, I tried my best to put a little bit of myself into the character as well, channeling those feelings of being an adolescent and feeling like an outsider. I definitely wasn't a billionaire, but oftentimes I felt very separated from everyone else around me. Like everybody, you know, that's fair, but like, that's not Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is like totally disconnected from everybody. It has nothing to do with him being a billionaire or him feeling like an outcast. He doesn't feel like a normal person feels. He's got some serious psychological issues. And this is just like, well, I was a teen that felt like an outcast, so I wanted Bruce Wayne to also feel like a teen. Like, Bruce Wayne doesn't care. He literally doesn't give a shit. Why not just make a comic with your own characters? Because this isn't Batman anyways. Like, this isn't Batman at all. Why not just do your own different storyline? I don't fucking get it. When asked on what her inspiration for the story was, Taylor Cruz admits she wanted to reinvent Chuck Bass, a prominent character from Gossip Girl. I pitched a kind of Gossip Girl Batman. In my mind, I wanted to reinvent Chuck Bass. He's still Bruce Wayne. It's not the Great Gatsby, so he's still brooding. He's still a loner. He still has all that iconic Batman personality, says Taylor Cruz. I mean, it sounds like he's just a whiny brat. There's brooding like Bruce Wayne does, but it's different. He's very stiff and rigid. And the thing is, like, Bruce Wayne puts on a personality in front of other individuals. It's Batman that is the true identity, right? So Bruce Wayne is known as like a billionaire playboy philanthropist, you know, borrow the line from whichever one of those Marvel movies that. But he is, right? It's his alter ego. He is okay putting on that face around other people. He just doesn't let them in close. Instead, what you're doing is you're making him kind of a dick. Like he's openly the same person that Batman is. There is such a disconnect between who Bruce Wayne is and who Batman is, and whatever the hell they created here. She added, but making him Chinese was a no-brainer. Everyone was on board from the beginning. It doesn't surprise me, honestly. Matilli was much more upfront, admitting the entire slate was wiped clean. Because it was. He explains, from an artistic standpoint, the history of Bruce Wayne and Batman was essentially wiped clean. I wasn't held down in any way to one specific thing. He added, it gave me an opportunity to think of this character completely differently than how other artists have drawn this character over the years. Oh, and Joker apparently isn't even the bad guy here. It's not just Batman and Bruce Wayne that are being radically altered, but Joker is as well. Patella explains, there's so much of that Instagram culture and social media culture with teens today. So I tried to interject that into the style and look of the characters, specifically with the Joker character. He adds, he was the hardest character to visualize and design because he's not your average villain. Well, apparently he's not a villain at all here. He's almost not a villain at all in a way. Yeah, I should just read ahead. Sorry, guys. He goes back and forth where you sympathize with him. Sometimes you see him as a villain. So I wanted to give him a look that played off both sides of his personality. He then admits he modeled the character on his own look. God damn it. I said in the video, like, I thought Melissa De La Cruz was basically writing her own little high school fantasy. Kind of. It seems like they... and the dude draws Joker to match himself. So I'm sitting there going, like, what is up with you people? Just tell stories. Don't write your fucking diary. De La Cruz then details the main focus of this story is a love story. She explains, I wanted to write about a young Bruce Wayne, so obviously there's going to be a love story. Why would that be obvious to anybody? Okay, so in canon, right? When Bruce Wayne's parents die, he is broken and shattered, and he disconnects from everybody. Like, he abandons Alfred, who's supposed to be the only person left to connect him to that life, right? And he just takes off and decides to start training himself as best as he can. You know, there's him going to boarding school, and in boarding school, he's also completely shut off, and he abandons it and goes to train and develop his skills because he's just not like anybody else around him. And it's like, I don't get how you get that and you say, well, actually, young Bruce Wayne, the best thing you'd be able to write would be a love story. How? Like, I don't see a dude who dresses up as a bat as like the most romantic thing in the world, but the Joker's pretty hot, so he's got to be in there. That's where I start. What? Like, which Joker turns you on? Is it Joaquin Phoenix? Is it Jared Leto with a crazy ass fucking teeth? Like, who gets hot from the Joker? Like, literally in Batman the Animated Series, which our illustrator here must know, he literally beats the crap out of Harley Quinn constantly. Like, constantly. There's nothing attractive about that. The man's a fucking psychopath. And his skin is bleached white. Come on. Come on. How'd you get hot and sexy from that? In fact, there is an apparent love triangle between Catwoman, Joker, and Batman. He explains it by referencing Truman Capote's Cold Blood. I always remember this quote from Truman Capote's in Cold Blood, where he's talking about the killers, and he says something like, "We came from the same place, but I walked out the front door, and he walked out the back door." There's this feeling that they're the same person, just with a different circumstances. See, I wanted to put that in the Batman-Joker dynamic. There's almost the same person, but Bruce has all this privilege and Jack has nothing. What does that do to... Like, how is that the story you get? It's... Like, I don't get me wrong, like, I get it's an Elseworld story, I do, but this isn't even close to anything resembling who Batman is, other than they just took his name. Like, the dynamic between Batman and Joker is not, Batman has all this privilege and Joker has nothing. It's that they are both essentially criminals. Right? They are. And Batman is willing to go insanely far in doing some of the things he does, like developing files on all the Justice League members in order to take them out if they were ever to turn away from the side of good. Like, and to the point where just a little tweak here or there, you could develop the plans into just outright murdering the League members. Like, that's Batman. Batman will cross that line into some insanely dark stuff, and Joker sees him as like this thing that completes him. If anything, I would have appreciated Joker being into Batman in this comic book more, because at least they play on that a lot in the comic books, where he calls him darling and shit, because Batman completes Joker, Joker completes Batman. That's the dynamic. And it's a weird one, and it's crazy how connected these two characters are. In this one, they're literally just fighting over a girl in high school. Like, what? She adds, it came out to trying to figure out all their desires. What does Jack bring to Selina that's different from what Bruce brings to Selina? Ultimately, you don't know what she's going to pick. You root for both of them, and there's a surprise in the end. Is the surprise that she picks neither one? Like... Well, Selina Kyle's a fun character, and I could see like the main universe Selina Kyle being with another dude trying to make Bruce jealous, but like Bruce again would not care, and he wouldn't act on it. Plans to ruin more characters. De La Cruz then revealed she plans on destroying more characters. I would love to play a little more. We have minor characters that we can get to know a bit more, like Poison Ivy and Harvey. And I don't think it's the last we'll see of Selina, Jack, and Bruce either. I'm hoping to do more of Jack's story in the second book. I hope there's not a second book. And she even adds, and we barely even saw Robin. Like, why would you see Robin? Okay, every single Robin character is related to the Batman character. Dick, and you know, you could change that up totally. Like, there have been plenty of Elseworld stories that have. But how does Robin get inspired by Batman if Batman is like 17 years old in the comic book story? Like, how old is Robin supposed to be? Are they like roughly the same age? Are they even... There is a father-son relationship between Batman and every single one of the Robins. Technically, I mean, there is a female Robin for like 2 issues at one point, but you know what I mean, right? There's a father-son dynamic there. How do you do that with a 17-year-old Batman? You have to change that entire thing, so I get what they mean about destroying more characters. Tilly adds, I love the idea of building up more of that Poison Ivy character and Harvey character, so hopefully that happens. I'd love to continue drawing these characters. I hate being mean to Tilly, because he just seems like he really likes Batman and he just wants to draw something for Batman, but like, dude, come on. Like, you gotta, if you're a real Batman fan, like, what are you doing? It looks like DC Comics saw just how amazing and brave and stunning Marvel Comics' New Warriors and Lucasfilm Star Wars The High Republic pitches were, and wanted to get in on that. They wanted to absolutely destroy their bread and butter character of Batman and Bruce Wayne and turn him into Jake Man and Jake Wayne. Damn, that's harsh. It worked so well for Disney's Star Wars sequel trilogies, but they couldn't just stop at Batman. They decided to eviscerate Joker and Catwoman as well and have plans to do more. Circling Drain might be an understatement. This book deserves to be immediately shredded and then flushed down the toilet. That might be a little bit harsh. Like, I'm not for book burnings. Like, someone writes a bad book, I'm like, let's talk about it. I'm not for destroying books and everything. But, like, look, this isn't Batman, it's not Joker, it's not Selena Kyle, it's none of their characters. The person writing the stories, like, I get telling alternate stories of established characters, but if you have no clue who these characters are, you're eventually just going to write something that doesn't even resemble them other than the name, right? Like, all they're using are the names for these characters. Like, who the hell looks at Joker and says, I want to make him a sexy teen? Like, what? What? Like, what? Like, there's no romanticism in that character except for the romanticizing he does of Batman. So, like, why would you tell a story where they're in a three-way triangle relationship with Catwoman? Like, that's just weird. But I get it's like a YA graphic novel and everything, but come on. Like, and the whole thing about New Warriors and Star Wars, look, I don't know why they do these things with these characters. It's just, I don't think they don't care, right? She's excited to get to write her book. You know, all power to her. Maybe this comic book is going to be just absolutely amazing. Maybe it really will be something great. But the worst thing about reading this article is that DC Comics reached out to somebody who has no real interest in the character, in the sense that they don't understand anything about them, and their first priority is just, well, I want to radically alter everything. I don't understand why he even exists in the first place. I don't understand why fans even like him. So it's not going to matter if I change anything because I didn't know anything to begin with.